Welcome to Mast Appeal, the Saturday morning live show on Catholic Radio, where you can get some free and friendly advice from a Catholic perspective. This is Coleen Kelly Mast. I'm a mother, a wife, an author, a speaker. I've written Sex, Respect, and Love and Life and the Love Ed video discussion series for parents with younger children. And I'm a certified life coach with maybe 4 or 5 certifications now, here to help you today with your personal problems. I've been on Catholic Radio now for 26 years. I can hardly believe it, but it's been such a pleasure to be here with you all this time. So I've heard a lot of questions, but actually they change over the years, and there are different family problems than we used to see when I first began. So give me a call with your question or personal problem. Your calls drive the show. You decide what the topics are today. I just get the opening time and maybe a few things in between. But the number to get on today's show is 877-573 7825 877-5 Pep Talk. You call in and you get to talk to Eric, our call screener and engineer today over at the Ave Maria Radio Studios in Michigan. This show is produced by Ave Maria Radio, and you can always find the replays on the Substacks there at avemariaradio.net after the show is broadcast. So you call into Eric, you tell him your first name, and if you are in one of those towns where everyone listens to Catholic radio, and you don't want people to hear your first name or your town, you can just say Annie Anonymous or Andy Anonymous if you're a guy. So go ahead and call in. Tell Eric your first name, where you're calling from, or what station you're listening to, and then what your topic is, what the question is about. And he'll put it on my board, send it over here to me in Illinois in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, and we'll take you when it's your turn. So call us at 877-573 7825 877-5 Pep Talk, and your calls drive the show. You decide what the topics are today. My apologies about last week. We had a pre-record for the 4th of July and some wonderful guests, and for some technical reason it didn't all play, but you can go back to avemariaradio.net and listen to it. I know some of you listen regularly because you email me and say you listen to the show Monday at work, or you listen to the show on, when you were out jogging, and you regularly download this as a podcast and listen to it later, or play it for friends, or one gal plays it at her office, but they work at a shrine, so they can do Catholic things like that. So anyway, go to avemariaradio.net. There's a button called Programs at the top of the home page. Click on Mast Appeal, the name of this show. And you don't have to subscribe if you don't want to. Just click No Thanks at the bottom of the page unless you want them to send you the show each week. And if you do subscribe at the bottom of the page, you can get all the previous shows for free, and you can download them. Okay, you don't have to subscribe to get them all. So you can either subscribe so they send them to you automatically, or just click No Thanks, and you can still get them all for free. So if you want to hear shows you missed, particularly the one that we all missed last week, where we had Linda Carl on with her book Yoga Unveiled, her spiritual journey from darkness to light, where she was a Reiki practitioner and yoga teacher, and God literally showed her the light on why she should stop that. So that was fascinating. So Linda Clark, the author of Yoga Unveiled, I think was our first half hour. Then we had Dr. Matt Meehan from Hillsdale College in his awesome new book on the American Book of Fables. And it celebrates the beauty of our nation for America's 250th anniversary. It's like Aesop's Fables revisited in the U.S. with all these cute little lessons. It's like 400 pages and pictures, and some really short, some longer stories rooted in the Declaration of Independence and all different regions of the United States. We traveled the whole country, took a sabbatical to do that. So that's the American Book of Fables by Dr. Matt Meehan. Then second hour we had, this was so much fun, Judson Carroll. No, we had Steve Cunningham, he wrote a book with Judson Carroll. So Steve Cunningham was on. He's a husband and father, lives in North Carolina, and they co-wrote a book called herbs that heal. So we had a really fun time talking about things we can grow in our backyard that can heal us from stress, anxiety, sleeplessness, headache was in chapter 14, muscle pain, sprains, strains. And so it was, I mean, sunflowers, take metal out of the ground, like about growing your garden and how it can help you, why you should eat strawberry leaves, stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun, first half of the second hour. And then last but not least, for all of our spiritual needs, it was amazing to interview Padre Pio's American daughter, Susan D. Susan D. Partoli wrote a book about Padre Pio's American daughter, Mary Pyle. And it was fascinating to learn how Mary, from a wealthy family, privileged life in New York, became the interpreter for Padre Pio in Italy and entertained dignitaries and cared for his parents and other people that came to see him. But she was, I say, disinherited by her wealthy parents when she became Catholic. So interesting story. So that was the book, Padre Pio's American Daughter, the story of Mary Pyle. So sorry if you missed it last week. It didn't get broadcast properly for some technical reasons. And you can go back to AveMariaRadio.net, programs, at the top of the page, click programs, click on Mast Appeal. And you don't have to subscribe unless you want to get the show sent to you every week. Some people do, I know. And then click No Thanks, and you can still get all the previous shows for free. So that's what we missed last week. But this is this week, July 11th. So give me a call with your summer questions or personal problems. It's the feast of Saint Benedict, and so we can talk about that a little bit too. The number to get on today's show, let's keep Eric busy today here, is 877-573-7825, 877-5 Actually, I'm going to break a little early, and then I'm going to talk about St. Benedict after this. Looks like we've got something technical here to fix, but we'll be back with more of Mast Appeal right after this message.
Walk through the doors of Cantoro Italian Market in Plymouth, and you are instantly transported to Italy. Hi, I'm Teresa Tomeo, and you can choose from a curated assortment of unique food and wines that you won't find at your local supermarket. Fresh handmade pasta, gourmet wine and cheese made from scratch bread and desserts, and high-quality meats and poultry. Don't forget to stop for lunch or dinner at the attached award-winning restaurant. For directions, visit cantoromarket.com. That's cantoromarket.com.
What is another name for the communion of saints? A phrase frequently intoned by the Catholic Church. The Catholic Catechism raises the question, what is the communion of saints, if not the assembly of all the saints? Then it continues on to assert, the communion of saints is the Church. The faithful form one body. Therefore, the good of one is communicated to all. The most important member of the body is Jesus Christ, since he is the head. He communicates his riches to all the other members through the sacraments. This is summed up in the Latin phrase Sancta Sanctis, which means communion in holy things, sancta, among holy people, sanctis. This is Peggy Stanton, and this has been the Order of Malta's Minute with the Catechism.
You're listening to Ave Maria Radio.
Ave Maria Radio.
Join Guest House for their 6th annual Run Over Addiction 5K and the 1 Mile Fun Run Saturday, August 1st at the Scripps Mansion in Lake Orion. Virtual 5K runners can also join from anywhere in the world. Your participation helps ensure that the ordained and consecrated, including those in formation, can access care for addictions and other behavioral health conditions. To run or to sponsor, click the Events tab at guesthouse.org today.
The Lord your God, you shall have no strange gods before me. In this commandment, God seeks to protect us from false claims to our worship and obedience. And there's a great sad history of people who have trusted in gods other than him or things other than him and the ruin that it has caused. So God is trying to protect us and call us to an absolute trust and obedience of him. He asks us to trust him above all things and above all other people or so-called gods. We have to also avoid things like consulting horoscopes, palm reading, clairvoyance, recourse to mediums, any desire to try to control things apart from God. God simply says, trust me, I'm the Lord your God. The first commandment, I am the Lord your God. You shall have no strange gods before me.
For more about the Ten Commandments, visit EWTNRC.com.
Welcome back to Mast Appeal, the Saturday morning live show on Catholic Radio, where you can get some free and friendly advice from a Catholic perspective. The number to get on today's show with your question or personal problem is 877-573-7825. 877-5-PEP-TALK. Call now. Your calls drive the show. You decide what the topics are today. I'm just going to start out about our saint of the day, which is Saint Benedict. And you might have heard about Saint Benedict before, at least you've heard his name. Some of you might even be lay Benedictine. So Saint Benedict was born in Italy. He became a monk at Subiaco and lived in a cave. So he's the father of monasticism. He attracted followers. He built small monasteries for those that wanted to share that lifestyle. Boy, doesn't that sound attractive today? Oh, wouldn't you love to just go live in a cave and forget all the problems of the world? So anyway, this attracted followers. He built small monasteries for those that wanted to share his lifestyle. And he founded a monastery at Monte Cassino where he wrote his rule. This is a remarkable guide that emphasized moderation, humility, obedience, prayer, and manual labor as the way to holiness. So he's considered the patriarch of Western monasticism and proclaimed the patron of Eastern Europe then in 1964. So maybe the Europeans know him well or know him better. And let's look a little bit at St. Benedict's rule and see if we can get some free, friendly advice from St. Benedict while we're waiting for your calls at 877-573-7825, 877-5-PEP-TALK. You might have heard various variations of St. Benedict's rule. It's around. And we actually, a couple of years ago, had someone on a show that wrote a book for teenagers. Trying to think of his name, about humility that was about St. Benedict's rule. But this St. Benedict's rule is back from the 6th century. It's a spiritual handbook that outlined monastic life. So that's why I don't want to talk about it in terms of not just monastic life, but then we'll talk about how we can apply his rule to us today, to those of us who are not leading a monastic life or out in the world. So it's based on the motto, pray and work. Pray and work, pray and work, pray and work. So it balances prayer, manual labor, and study. That's why Benedictines are often well educated. Even if they don't go in really smart, they come out, or they become really smart. So it's designed for a community, though led by an abbot. And so the core values are obedience, stability, and moderation. Now, we can apply that as obedience, of course, to God, because we don't necessarily have a superior, or obedience to one another if we're married, in compliance with what we would want our spouse to do that God is God's will. Let's see how else, if you're single, how do you apply obedience directly to God? So St. Benedict lived from around 516 to 530. And during that collapse of the Roman Empire in Europe, they needed this order and stability a lot. So these principles still apply today. You know, some practical guidelines for intentional living, for daily scheduling, for business stewardship. And so you can try to apply this to our lives. So let's look at St. Benedict's 12 steps to humility and give us a call about any of those and how to apply those, or with your question or personal problem as you're trying to live out your faith. The number to get on today's Mast Appeal is 877-573-7825, 877-5-PEP-TALK. All right, so St. Benedict's process description of the formation of humility in his rule might be the first 12-step program, so we can help leaders and followers serve in humility. So the first step is respect God. So St. Benedict says the first degree of humility is that a person keep the fear of God before his eyes and beware of ever forgetting it. Can you do that? As for self-will, we're forbidden to do our own will by the scripture, which says to us, turn away from your own will. That's in Ecclesiastes 8, verse 30. And likewise, by the prayer in which we ask God that his will be done in us. So respect God first. And, how many of you think of your own will rather than God's will? Okay, number 2 of St. Benedict's 12 Steps to Humility. Love not one's own will. The second degree of humility is that a person love not his own will, nor take pleasure in satisfying his own desires. Oh my goodness. We do feel good after a good meal or a good exercise or getting our house cleaned or the closet organized or a good job done or a project completed at work. But model his actions on the saying of the Lord, I have come not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. It is written also, self-will has its punishment, but constraint wins the crown. Wow, always do your own will. When I was speaking with one of my life coaching clients this week, they had never thought about, even at work, doing God's will. They were always thinking about their boss's will or finishing their job. But I challenged the person saying, like, at work, you're still supposed to be doing God's will within that day of work. So that kind of fits in here with St. Benedict's 12 Steps to Humility. Okay, number 3 is submit to one's superior. A third degree of humility is that a person, for love of God, submit himself to his superior in all obedience, imitating the Lord, of whom the apostle says, he became obedient even unto death. Okay, when we apply this to our workplace, to our boss, to our spouse, and to our parents, when we need to, and always directly to God, how obedient are we to God's law? Then the fourth of St. Benedict's 12 Steps to Humility. While we're waiting for your calls at 877-573-7825. It says, be obedient at all times, especially in difficult situations. The fourth degree of humility is that he holds fast to patience. How patient are you? With a silent mind, when in this obedience he meets with difficulties and contradictions and even any kind of injustice, enduring all without growing weary or running away. So how do you hold fast to patience with a silent mind, which means not complaining and whining about it when you have difficulties or injustices that you're trying to struggle against? So scripture says, for the one who perseveres to the end is the one who will be saved. And again, let your heart take courage and wait for the Lord. Okay, and number 5, Eric, is that first caller ready yet? Our one from Iowa, let me know. Okay, be transparent is number 5 of St. Benedict's 12 Steps to Humility. Okay, the 5th degree of humility is that he hide from his abbot none of the evil thoughts that enter his heart. Whoa, that's an intense spiritual director. Or the sins committed in secret, but that he's humbly confess them. The scripture urges us when it says, reveal your way to the Lord and hope in him. And again, confess to the Lord, for he is good and his mercy endures forever. That's pretty scary. If you are in a community, I don't know if we have to confess that to our spouses. Let's pray about that one. So humbly confess even your secret thoughts, evil thoughts that enter your heart, or sins committed in secret. Confess that to your superior. Whoa, that's enough for me about the first 12 steps to humility from St. Benedict. And it's time to go to our phones. Give us a call with your question or personal problem. The number to get on today's show is 877-573-7825. 877-5-PEP-TALK. Our first caller today is Anonymous from Iowa, anonymous lady. So Annie Anonymous from Iowa, welcome to the show. How can I help you today?
You. I have a son that came home from school and came home from college on estrogen because he's not happy being a male. And I just need to know, some resources or some guidance.
Oh, my. Okay. First of all, yeah. Okay. I just gave a whole um, talk on this just a couple weeks ago on the influences on men of estrogen. So, resources I would say go to the Ruth Institute. Let me look that up right now. The Ruth
The Ruth?
Institute. The
Okay.
Ruth Institute. Make sure I have the website exactly correct. So the Ruth Institute, it takes the very latest problems or issues with often with sexuality, and it helps. It has a lot of gay myths. It refutes the science about the transgender. She has former transgenders on her show. This is by Dr. Jennifer Roback Morris, and she has taught at George Mason and Yale, and has written multiple books on gender and sexuality. So I would say listen to some of her blogs. But is your son approachable? Is he open at
Very
all, or is he
much so.
defensive? Okay. Then I'll tell you
Well,
some of the.
definitely, he's well informed on the reasons why he's on it, and he's been.
Well, why is he on it then? Tell me that. We can work back from there.
He does not feel happy in his own skin.
Okay.
He likes the way he looks better with the estrogen.
Mm-hmm.
He never felt comfortable. I mean, he is just beautiful, and he's talented and
Mm-hmm.
patient and so amazing. But this is changing him so much.
Yeah, I'm sorry that we live in a society at a time that that
an
this
option.
is happening, that it is an option. Nobody would have thought of that a long time ago. You might want to look up some, and they're all over the internet. And I know a couple shows ago, I already recited a lot of these, but the reason why a lot of men and even boys are finding themselves feeling weird hormonally is because of a number of things, and it's pollution. I had told the story of I had gotten a Zytoscan for my boys when they were little. Just it's a health scan, see what's going on in your body, how well your organs are working, or what your enzymes are doing, your hormones are doing, your nervous system. So anyway, estrogen came up the top on both of them, and they were like 8 and 10 years old. And I asked the nurse, maybe 7 and 10, and I asked the nurse, like, whoa, why is estrogen number one of their hormones? And she said, well, do they eat chicken nuggets? Do they eat beef? Do they know that farmers are pumping estrogen into their cows? And so if they drink milk, they're getting estrogen. Then we have another problem with, so anyway, I had them, I went off, I got organic milk, I got organic meats and, chicken and beef from them. I stopped eating them out at, fast food nuggets or things like that, to reduce the estrogen intake. And then gave them just some different foods that detox them easily, like eat more broccoli and stuff like that, So, so detox them, went back 6 months later, and it was, for one of them, it was low on the list, and the other one, it wasn't on the list at all. So I could see that pollution I proved to myself back, 20 years ago that pollution was affecting them. Another thing is that the pesticides and fertilizers, you've probably read about some of those that they'll act as xenoestrogens, the medical science will call them, and they attach to the estrogen receptor site of our body. So many of us are over estrogened if we eat a lot of vegetables and fruits. And so even organic ones might have something.
Fruit.
Oh, I know. Oh, you just have to eat really clean. And that's why even places like, Aldi's are having organic stuff, or you grow your stuff in your own garden. So if I go to Whole Foods or go to the organic section, it's worth it. So those are skewing both animals and humans in terms of messing up our estrogen. So maybe if he understood this and went to a natural doctor that could do a good detox, there are even things like DIM and stuff like that can take out excess estrogen from your liver. And instead of putting more estrogen in because you're feeling weird, you might suggest to him, would you consider detoxing from the toxic estrogens that have been coming in your body from vegetables, meat, and, and seeing if you would feel right in your own body. So I'd say a good year of detox would be better than a good year of estrogen. And maybe deep down in his heart, it's bothering him anyway. Why am I doing this? So I would approach him with that, find a good natural doctor that will detox him, not just from the estrogen he just put in, but from the, unfortunately, natural estrogens where you've been receiving from the current farming that was not organic that has affected our estrogen levels. So see if he's willing to do that and just give it a couple year try rather than mess up his whole being that God created.
Beacon Skin and Surgeries is a comprehensive dermatology center on the border of Troy and Rochester Hills south of M59 and in Livonia. Beacon Skin and Surgeries perform full skin exams and focus on the diagnosis and treatment of all types of skin cancer and precancerous lesions. All are board-certified dermatologists and fellowship-trained surgeons. Call 248-852-1900. Beacon Skin and Surgeries, a beacon for patient care. 248-852-1900.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Denha-Garmo. Your kids are grown, and the difficult choice of who will raise them in case of an untimely death has passed. Stop making excuses. Go to mycatholicwill.com. A legal will is short and simple, and thanks to our partnership with mycatholicwill.com, when you use the promo code AVE, A-V-E, your will is absolutely free. No hidden costs whatsoever. Visit mycatholicwill.com. Hi, Vanessa Denha-Garmo here, inviting you to tune into Epiphany. We're made to praise God and celebrate our faith. I want to encourage listeners to connect, communicate, and collaborate with the faith community. Life is a journey, and along the way, we have those epiphany moments that bring us closer to Christ. Please partner with me and celebrate the diversity of our Catholic Church.
Epiphany, weekdays at noon, only on Ave Maria Radio.
Another year has come and gone, and whether you like it or not, Uncle Sam requires you to make an accounting.
Perhaps it's time to call Myler and Zipka. They work with you to legally minimize your tax bill and identify ways to reduce future taxes. Eliminate the nagging feeling that you're paying more taxes than you need to. Call Ken Zipka today at 734-930-5500. Myler and Zipka. Integrity, excellent value, and people dedicated to a long-term relationship. 734-930-5500.
Good morning and welcome to Mast Appeal, the Saturday morning live show on Catholic Radio, where you could get some free and friendly advice from a Catholic perspective. The number to get on today's show with your question or personal problem as you're trying to live out your faith is 877-573-7825, 877-5-PEP-TALK. Do you need some coaching to make a change in your life or improve a relationship in your life or understand and apply one of the church teachings? Give me a call. The number is 877-573-7825, 877-5-PEP-TALK. I want to follow up a little bit about from Annie. I did finish her basic answer before the music started playing. Annie Anonymous from Iowa. No wonder you want to be anonymous. This is a shameful thing, but when your child comes home from college and a guy and says he's home on estrogen, it might be time to not only teach him that science, but remind him of God created us. And this is why the theology of the body is so beautiful and important. In Laudato Si, Pope Francis said, the acceptance of our bodies as God's gift is vital for welcoming and accepting the entire world as a gift from the Father and our common home, whereas thinking that we enjoy absolute power over our own bodies turns often subtly into thinking we enjoy absolute power over creation. So also in Amoris Laetitia, he said, the young need be helped to accept their own body as it was created. So that's something that Annie can talk to her son about. And Pope Benedict, back before this transgender thing was that popular, he said, the defense of the family is one of the three biggest challenges the earth faces. A profound falsehood of this gender theory is so obvious. People dispute the idea that they have a nature given by their bodily identity that serves as a defining element of the human being. They deny their nature and decide it's not something previously given to them, that they can make it for themselves. This denial destroys the cohesion of the family unit, specifically the role of father, mother, and offspring. So there are more quotes in my Love Ed Parent Guide. If you want to read, I have several pages. And so Annie, you might want to do that, or someone who's concerned about their son being more effeminate or their daughter wanting to become a man. The Love Ed Parent Guide that you can get at my website, respect4u.com, respect4u.com, or you can go there and get a copy of the Love Ed Parent Guide. And you get free access to the videos that stream as well. You can also go to loveed.com, and from there you can find out how to implement the program in your parish. So my Love Ed Parent Guide has several pages about gender confusion for parents, to help them see the truth of the human person. And when a child gets confused by the culture, I had a life coaching client, whole family, who the daughter was confused by that. This was back during COVID, because the most welcoming online group, when they were all off-site doing their classes or back and forth on class, the most welcoming group was the LGBTQ group. And she said, I feel welcomed by them. I feel, I'm not pretty with the cool girls and stuff like that. So then she started wondering, maybe I am an LGBTQ, because that's where I have some friends now. So you'd never know what's moving adolescents. But so anyway, in my Love Ed Parent Guide, I have in the last section several pages on gender confusion and what the disorder of transgender. I have Catholic statements on gender identity. Pope Benedict XVI, in his address to the German Parliament, says, "Man does not create himself. Here is the heart of the matter. We are not the creator." And Pope Francis, in Amoris Laetitia, said, "When sexual differences are eliminated, we lose the anthropological basis of the family. Thus, the Holy Father speaks strongly against any gender ideology that makes one's identity as male or female merely a personal choice that can be changed over time." So many, many quotes in my Love Ed Parent Guide on gender confusion, on the church teaching on that, and then some common sense. Like if you had an anorexic daughter and she wanted a weight reduction treatment, or a child who wants to be a puppy, he's a child, not a dog, or an able-bodied person wants their arm amputated because they took the scripture seriously. If your arm is your problem, cut it off. So they were shoplifting. So they thought, oh, well, let's take this off. So, the teachings that you'll get at Ruth Institute, as well as many wonderful Catholic places, show us that you cannot scientifically change your gender. Every cell of your body, if you know science, you know the biology, every cell of your body has that chromosomal makeup of either XX or XY. And it is not possible to change your gender. You can pretend you're changing your gender, and parents can say that too. Just say, I'm not going to tell a lie with you. You are a boy. I know you're a boy. But you can do this with great compassion and love, and you can just join them in their confusion by accepting the confusion, but don't accept their solution to it. So you can say, I'm sorry that you feel that way. You really do seem to feel like you are, supposed to be a woman, or you're uncomfortable. Let's find the root source of this uncomfortableness. Because most people, when you look at the Ruth Institute's teaching and science, most people, if they do transition, are sorry later. And that girl, Chloe, that's going around speaking, I just actually heard her speak at the Illinois Right to Life banquet recently, did transition, and then saw that, and almost everybody who transitioned says that when they realize this did not solve the psychological problem that he has. So first and foremost, to be compassionate and loving to all people, regardless of their internal struggle. And people that struggle with their gender and their bodies, they do deserve our help and support, not hatred or judgment. But this is not judging them. This is, here, Chloe Cole. There you go. And she's now an outspoken pro-life person against the transgender surgeries and against transitioning. So this gender confusion, I mean, the actual one, gender dysphoria or gender identity, is rare. It was rare before it became trendy. But now that we have a lot of people making money on this, the hospitals, the clinics that are doing transgender surgeries, I believe they're taking advantage of our young people. So young people are confused by what they see in the culture. You feel weird in your body, which pretty much everybody does sometime during puberty. I remember very weird feelings. But take those confusions to solve the real underlying problem, or maybe it's a chemistry problem, like Annie's son could be. It doesn't mean that girls that were tomboys aren't meant to be a boy. They'll grow up and say, no, I was a tomboy then, and I still like going fishing and, catching frogs, but I love being a woman, especially after puberty. So, whether he feels weird in his body or not, he's going to feel more weird or weirder, if that's the word, after taking this estrogen. So I'll stick by my advice. Take him to a natural doctor that can detox him from the estrogen he put in and detox him from those pesticides, fertilizers, hormones that were pumped into the cows and the chickens. And so that he can be naturally heal his liver and his thyroid and his testes that can create the hormones that he was meant to have that were destroyed by the pollution, and see if that will help him not changing his sex, because you can't really change it. Hope that helps you all. We'll be back in a moment.
Experience the fire of renewal at Detroit's Rising from the Ashes Eucharistic Revival. World-class speakers Bishop Daniel Flores, Father John Ricardo, Sister Mary Grace SV, and Jeff Cavins, and powerful worship led by Matt Maher and Sarah Croker. One day only, Wednesday, July 22nd at Huntington Place in downtown Detroit. Registration only $50 with $10 off for groups of 15 or more. Register today at risingrevival.org. That's risingrevival.org.
We've all had those moments where we regretted saying something, but that doesn't mean we didn't believe it. We just didn't intend to say it out loud. You may not have intended to put your foot in your mouth, but it doesn't mean what you said didn't come from the heart. You may believe it, but didn't intend to say it. Maybe it's a lack of self-control or common sense, but if you're someone who often makes unkind remarks, look into your heart and gain some self-awareness. Why isn't kindness living in your heart? Perhaps you can meditate on the things that bring out feelings of anger, hate, resentment, and other negative emotions that percolate up and out of your mouth. Figure out how to heal those pains. Start journaling those thoughts and the root causes. Pray the Lord heals your heart. Remember what Scripture teaches us in the Gospel of Matthew. But the things which proceed out of the mouth come forth out of the heart. They defile the man. This has been a Christ-Centered Communication message. I'm Vanessa Denhagarmo, a communications evangelist and host of Epiphany.
Looking for a retreat venue for your youth group, sports team, ministry, or staff event? St. Francis Retreat Center in DeWitt sits on a picturesque 95-acre property, complete with 3 large conference rooms, 2 chapels, 2 dining rooms with commercial kitchens, meeting spaces for smaller groups, overnight lodging, and a professional staff to make your event a success. Call 517-669-8321 or visit stfrancis.ws to book your event today.
Good morning and welcome to Mast Appeal, the Saturday morning live show on Catholic Radio, where you can get some free and friendly advice from a Catholic perspective. The number to get on today's show with your question or personal problem is 877-573-5787. 7825. 877-5-PEP-TALK. For those of you that were just turning the radio dial, this show is called Mast Appeal. My name is Coleen Kelly Mast. I'm a certified life coach, a Catholic retreat speaker, the author of the Love and Life program for parents and teens, the Sex Respect program that's just about ready to go to press here soon, a public school program on abstinence that is going to be revised here for this year to help all these young teens that want to do right, want to do well, want to wait until marriage, and it gives them all the reasons, not only for themselves, but how to tell their friends about it. So I have a master's degree in health education, an honorary doctorate in humane letters, teaching certificates in health science, physical education, and theology. And in all that life's work is wrapped up in my latest program, Love Ed, that has 5 different books, 28 video clips, and you can have access to Love Ed at loveed.com. And there might be a book for your child's age, or for you as a parent, or you as a grandparent. I've gone through Love Ed with a couple of my grandchildren as well. And actually later this summer, the Divine Mercy Show with Father Chris Alar on EWTN is going to do a little feature on Love Ed and my ministry. But for now, I'm here for you for free. 877-573-7825. 877-5-PEP-TALK. If you'd like some free, friendly advice from a Catholic perspective, call now. Tell Eric your name, where you're calling from, and the topic of your question. And we'll get back while we're waiting for your call back to St. Benedict's 12 Steps to Humility. We just finished number 5. And this, it made me smile about yesterday, but it says, be content with lowly and menial jobs. The 6th degree of humility is that a monk be content with the poorest and worst of everything, and that in every occupation assigned him, he considers himself a bad and worthless workman, saying with the prophet in Psalm 22, I am brought to nothing, and I am without understanding. I have become as a beast of burden before you, and I am always with you. Well, this brought to mind an incident from yesterday that I just told Eric about before the show. Menial job. Okay, yesterday I'm over at my parish, helping out a little bit, and was helping clean out this closet. And there was a bin, a big plastic bin on the top shelf. I was going to take it down. Did not know that somebody had put way in the back against the back wall on top of this bin an iron, like to iron the gowns at confirmation or something like that. So I pull out the bin, and this iron, a big, I'm talking iron that you iron clothes with, cracked me in the head. It hurt so much that I couldn't even think for a while. I was stunned. So I still have a dent in my head, and I'm kind of feeling weird today. But I was, after when I bent over trying not to scream, really, but the receptionist came over and like was helping me, and trying to finish cleaning out the closet. I just kept thinking, here I am, you know, a national speaker, got a national radio show tomorrow. I'm here cleaning out in the closet, cleaning out a closet at my parish, and get hit in the head with an iron. So then this morning I meditated on, Lord, did you want to hit me in the head about something? And so I tried to turn that into a meditation. You know how we can take any natural thing in the St. Ignatius, not the St. Benedict we're talking about today, but St. Ignatius spiritual exercise. You can take any natural thing and turn that into a meditation. So I'm saying, you know how people say, boy, you know, God just smacked me up in the side of the head. So this morning's prayer was, Lord, did you hit me and allow me to be hit in the head with an iron? Because there's something you wanted me to hear from you or hear about, or should I not be cleaning out the closet at the parish? But according to the St. Benedict rule this morning, yes, lowly and menial jobs are fine for everyone. So I'll ask God later, about this dent in my head. What is he trying to teach me by allowing me to be hit in the head with iron? Now, some people say God makes those things happen. I don't believe he does. I don't think any evil or accident or disease is something he sends us. But because of our free will and original sin, bad things will happen. So we need to deal with those in a virtuous way. And Jesus had said, you know, these things happen so that good can come of it. Remember when he did a miracle? So let's get on with number 6 of St. Benedict's, be content with lowly and menial jobs. Number 7 of St. Benedict's 12 Steps to Humility. We'll be so humble by the end of today. Have a correct but lowly estimation of yourself. The seventh degree of humility is that he considered himself lower and of less account than anyone else, and this not only in verbal protestation, but also with the most heartfelt inner conviction, humbling himself and saying with the prophet, I am a worm and no man, the scorn of men and outcast of people. After being exalted, I have been humbled and covered with confusion. Wow. That makes me think of several of my life coaching clients, and I'm sure many of you out there as well. The seventh degree of humility, St. Benedict says, is consider yourself lower of less account. This is one of our big problems in marriage, in respecting authority, and honoring God. It is part of obedience and humility. We think we're smarter than God sometimes. We think we're better than our spouse. And so, if the seventh degree of humility is to consider yourself lower and less account than anyone else, you would always be open to your spouse, your aunt, your child, your parent, and what they have to say, because we don't think we know everything. And we defer all things to God and what He taught us and what He asks us to do in His judgment on people. So we don't say, nobody can accuse you of being judgmental. If all your judgments are based in God, just say, no, I don't know anything. All I'm trying to do is listen to God, follow a God, because I am a worm and no man, from Psalm 21, the scorn of men and outcast of people. So think of that when we start thinking that we're self-righteous and know things, that only by the grace of God we know anything, that we have a brain and it works, and we need to have a lower estimation of ourselves, always deferring to God, but also deferring to others. So that's a big one, that seventh step to humility. Okay, number 8, the eighth step to humility, stay within the boundaries of the organization and the role. The eighth degree of humility of St. Benedict's rule is that a monk do nothing except what is commended by the common rule of the monastery and the example of the elders. And number 9, control of one's tongue. The ninth degree of humility is that a monk restrain his tongue and keep silence, not speaking until he's questioned. Well, that's not going to work in a marriage. We'll talk about that later. But if you were in a monastic life, so it's good for me that you have humbled me, Psalm 118 says, that I may learn your commandments. So that's obedience in the monastery. Rule number 9, control one's tongue. And Psalm 13 says, the talkative man is not stable on the earth. I remember carpooling some of my daughter's friends in high school, and they were trying to figure out what to give up for Lent. And there was this one girl that it was nonstop chatter. Never said anything very important, but it's nonstop chatter. And I said, her name, I said, why don't you give up talking for Lent? I mean, she started screaming, I can never do that. I'm like, just try. You know, only when you have to answer a question in class or respond to your parents, just like stop talking for Lent. Anyway, Psalm 13, the talkative man is not stable on the earth. This is for monastic life of St. Benedict. All right, calls are coming in. Let's go to our break here, and we'll be right back with more of Mast appeal and maybe some more of St. Benedict's 12 steps to humility right after this message.
Attention, fellow Christians. In honor of our nation's 250th anniversary, Advocates for Faith and Freedom is hosting a dinner and silent auction Thursday, September 10th at St. John's Resort in Plymouth. Join us to defend religious liberty, free speech, and the sanctity of life. For over 20 years, Advocates for Faith and Freedom have provided free legal services to protect constitutional rights. Business owners, support this important cause. Visit AveMariaRadio.net and click on events.
Teaches that Jesus Christ is literally and wholly present, body and blood, soul and divinity, under the appearances of bread and wine. In the Bread of Life discourse documented in John chapter 6, Jesus states that He is the bread of life, and that His flesh is true food and His blood true drink. The Jews were scandalized in verse 52. How can this man give us His flesh to eat? Jesus does not back down, but reiterates this teaching 4 more times over the next 4 verses. Many left in verse 66 because this teaching was truly difficult. But at no point does Jesus water down His teaching and call them back. No, He allows them to leave, and even questions His 12 apostles if they too wish to leave. Jesus intended to be understood literally, and the Jews, apostles, and the Catholic Church absolutely take Him at His word. Examining the truths of the Catholic faith, This is faithforensics.org.
At Glass Doctor, our trained specialists are experts at fixing foggy and cracked glass, leaving any residential window looking like new without replacing the entire window. Bring back the view of any window with Glass Doctor. Visit glassdoctor.com to request a free estimate on repairing your foggy or cracked windows. Let Glass Doctor bring back your view.
Call the Glass Doctor, we'll fix your paint. Oh, yeah!
Good morning. Welcome to Mast Appeal, the Saturday morning live show on Catholic Radio where you can get some free and friendly advice from a Catholic perspective. This is Coleen Kelly Mast, life coach, author, speaker, mother, wife, cousin, aunt, and friend to many of you. If you're interested in life coaching, that you don't want to ask your question and have an answer in 8 minutes on the show, and you want a whole 45 minutes to yourself, you can sign up for a single session or a six-pack, and we can go through some decisions and plan for your life, or even a 10-pack for problem solving and making decisions for your life. So go ahead to my website, respect4u.com, and you can find out about life coaching and all my books and my speaking there. For now, we're going to the phones here. I hope we have time for this great question from Annie from New York. Welcome to the show, Annie Anonymous from New York. Let us know your concern today. You're on the air now. Go ahead. Hi.
Yes, hi. Hi, Coleen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound fine. Go
I
ahead.
hope you feel better. Sorry about your injury.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your program. I'm a first-time caller, but I do listen to you for several years now and really appreciate you. I have a situation where I am a 63-year-old woman. I'm a Eucharistic minister. I'm very devoted to the Lord, and my heart is with Him. I've been single for a very long time. I'm a mother, a grandmother. About 2 years ago, I met a gentleman at church who is, well known in the community. Very wonderful man. We talked during church on and off for 2 years. Started dating 7 months ago. We pray together. We go to Mass together.
Nice.
It's been beautiful. And he has a home for the summer about 3 to 4 hours away from here. And the last couple of times I went down to visit him, I noticed that he was very distant with me, couldn't hold my hand, just off. And I was introduced to some of his friends over the period of the last 6 weeks. And there's a couple that they hang out with all the time. And the wife of his friend is just way too huggy and with him, and his face lights up when he sees her. And my stomach and my heart just sank. And this past weekend when I was...
She's married, huh?
Yes, married woman.
Oh, boy.
Married woman.
Go ahead. Continue.
And... and so I noticed when we were at the beach this weekend, this last weekend, 4th of July, she was all around us any chance she could in the water, on the beach. And I asked him, I said, Jeannie's such a, beautiful woman. Mary's a beautiful woman, and she's got a great heart. And I said, well, you told me you guys walk the beach? He goes, yeah, we walk the beach every week. And I said, well, how many times do you walk the beach? He goes, 2-3 times a week. I said, how long has this been going on? He said, for a few years. I said, are you alone when you do these things? And he said, sometimes we are. And so I left. I went back home. We talked 2 nights later on the phone, and I dug a little bit deeper into this relationship. And he told me that they confide in each other. Okay. And I've done a lot of research on it because it's an emotional affair.
Yeah.
It's when you give your heart to somebody else you shouldn't be giving it to if it's
Right.
out of the marriage. And when you're trying to build a relationship with somebody else, you don't do that.
Right.
And I've been feeling something's been off. And, it's very painful because I really thought God was in the middle of this relationship. And when I hung, I didn't hang up the phone. I abruptly hung up the phone and said, I can't have this conversation with you because you're getting defensive about a relationship you shouldn't be in. And then he texted me and he said, you're being too abrupt with me. You shouldn't have hung up on me. And I said, look, you need to go see your priest and I'll go see mine. And then we'll see where we land. It's been 5 days. He hasn't called me, talked to me, see how I'm feeling. I have talked to my priest and, my priest pretty much aligns that this is not a right relationship for him
Oh my
to be
goodness. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the music's going to play in a minute. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to have to hang you over to the next hour because you're going to be surprised at what the answer is and how this can change, what you can do for him. So first of all, you're absolutely right in that he should not be in that relationship. And you had said when you're trying to build a relationship with somebody else, but that's even the second part of it. The first part is he should not be in this relationship at all because an emotional affair is still an affair. It's giving your heart to someone else, as you said. So first of all, that has to be fixed. And I have something I can suggest to him that I'll tell everybody on the air. But if he wants a coaching session, we can do that too on how to change the what he's feeling, because our bodies are. He's making his decision based on his emotions, and that's a big problem today. We have an intellect and a will, and our emotions are just informants. And so they're like the thermostat, not the thermometer. You can set it. And so he needs some education on emotions rather than following his emotions, because what he's committing is emotional adultery. And the music's playing, so we're going to finish this right after this message. We'll be back with the rest of Annie from New York's question in just a moment.